Ready? Chapter 47 War. Ploink! Edda's arrow bounced off the ruler's chest with ease. Ulf looked up at the Major General and smiled. Under his coat he was wearing a double-plated chest armor. No arrow was getting through that. As the twins saw Edda fly through the air, Ayla put her hand on her brother's shoulder. Well, Nila, let's not keep her waiting. It's time to farm some wolves. Both of the generals raised their axes and yelled, "Charge!" to their armies. There was, however, someone who was already rushing towards the wolf army. Nila looked at his brigadier general in awe. How could such a small body be so fast? It was like he was shot directly from a cannon. Arvid was running at maximum speed. Unlike the others, he had noticed where Edda was about to land. Right on the enemy soldiers. Edda tried to take aim at the soldiers coming closer and closer, but it was no use. They all had their shields up, aiming their spears right at her. There was no place for her to land. Arvid grabbed his throwing knives and started hurling them at the yellow wolves as fast as he could. They all had their shields up towards Edda, leaving the rest of their bodies exposed. All of his knives hit their intended target, taking down one soldier after another. However, he had to get to the spot where the Major General was about to land before she hit ground. Otherwise she would be impaled by those spears. He was determined to save her. Even after everything she had done, she was still his general. The Yellow Wolves did not get to have her for their barbecue. Edda landed right behind Arvid. He had made it just in time. "Thank you. I thought my last moment had finally come," she said to him. Arvid looked back at her. "Did you get him?" "No." "You missed?" Arvid asked, surprised. "Of course not. He was wearing some impressive armor. My arrow just bounced off," she answered. Not even his own soldiers get to wear armor, but he gets a special made one? How selfish. We'll just have to fight our way through to him. Your arrows aren't going to work at this close of a distance. You need a knife? I got all sizes." He took out his biggest one. "No, I'm good. I just found a spear on the ground," she answered him. Just as the two generals were about to defend themselves, several arrows came flying through the air, hitting 6 of their enemies. Julen and Banke came running, firing off even more arrows as they sprinted forward. "Damn, 3 arrows at once? That's even more impressive than just 2 of yours," Arvid commented. "No, it's not," Edda said coldly. Abandoning their bow and arrows, Julen and Banke jumped right into the fight next to Arvid and Edda. The twins had just reached the front line of the wolf army as they started swinging their axes. Yrsa looked flabbergasted at the generals. Those axes, in those hands, could take down the entire wolf army on their own. Bodies were flying all over the battlefield. She had never seen a bigger power display on the battlefield in her life. She looked down at her own axes, which looked tiny in comparison. Then she felt it. That feeling she always got heading into a fight. Nothing felt better than the kill. In front of her they stood, her enemies. Behind her they stood, her soldiers. The battlefield was her stage. The warrior Yrsa was once again about to give a performance. It was time to count heads. Maybe she would meet them again among those Ulfhedna, her parents, if only so for one last time. Atle, Disa and Tyr drew their swords as they sliced the shields of their enemies in two. They moved forward and they moved fast, cutting through anything that came in their way. Ylva, on the other hand, was mostly fighting with his fists. He seemed to have forgotten that he still had one of his own axes left, as he mostly grabbed his enemy's weapons and went berserk with those. Thule, on the other hand, only had his favorite spear in mind. He looked for it everywhere, on his enemies, on the ground, in the sky, anywhere he could think of, killing everyone in his path, just to find that dear spear of his. "I don't like this, Keon. I don't like this at all," Aino said, worried. They were sitting at the end of the hill they had been at before. They peeked out behind it, just to see the two armies fighting it out between one another. "You know, if this wasn't war, I would almost say it's beautiful. The way Ask and Embla are moving with their crossbows, killing their enemies. It's almost like a war dance. I've never seen two people so in sync with each other," Keon said to her. "But they are still killing people. Yet I know that if I interfere, history will just repeat itself. Working in the dark, no one will know what happened, but they will find someone to blame. I don't want to make the same mistake again. I don't know what to do." "Then don't repeat the same mistake," he said, looking at her. She looked back at him. "But then so many more will die." Grima was laying on the ground protecting himself with his shield. A yellow wolf stood looking down at him. The wolf raised his spear ready to strike as the captain shrieked in horror. The soldier stopped mid-air as a spearhead suddenly pierced through his chest. He sunk to the ground as Lieutenant Colonel Freya appeared behind him. "Oh, it's you, Grima. I thought it was a child judging by that high-pitched screaming," she said as she pulled back her spear from the soldier's body. Grima grabbed his chest. His heart was racing. He looked up at her. She had saved him. He had never felt so grateful towards anyone in his life before. She wrinkled her forehead. "Where's your weapon? I thought I ordered you to carry a dagger like the rest of the doctors, after the last battle when you came without one." "I will not wear a weapon. A weapon is not made for defense. I only wear a shield," he answered her. "You do know this is a battlefield, right?" she asked him with her eyebrows raised. "If it stands between kill or be killed, I would choose the latter. I will not take another human's life, even if it costs me my own," he answered her, very determined. She looked at him a bit surprised. "Well, as much as I don't like that you refuse to follow my order, I can respect that sentiment. I wouldn't recommend you to wander off alone, though, considering you don't have a way to." Grima once again shrieked in horror as he saw Freya's body getting torn apart by bullets right in front of him. She looked at him in shock as she fell forward on top of him. Was this how her life would end? She, the gorgeous Freya. She, who was adored by all men for her beauty. This was how she was ending her days? Shot in the back. How disgraceful. She didn't even get to make out with Jorun. This ending sucked. Grima looked around. There were many more screaming in terror. The wolf army's reinforcements had arrived with their advanced old world weapons, slaughtering his comrades in front of his eyes. The ruler still stood there unharmed. They had been too late. None of them had made it in time to take him down. He looked down at the dying Freya laying in his arms. He could feel the tears start forming in his eyes. He wanted to save her. He wanted to save all of them. He never wanted this. He never wanted any of this. He wanted all of them to be okay. He wanted to heal them all. Yet, here he sat on the ground, not being able to do anything. He held her as he started crying. Nila turned his head just to watch his sister fall down. She had been shot, as so many of his officers and soldiers. He ran towards her, knowing that a machine gun was pointed right at him. He stopped right beside her, but before he could do anything, the bullets came flying through the air. His body fell down next to his sister's. The twins were dying as they looked at each other. Nila smiled. He didn't want to die, but if there was one way to go, this was it. Together with his sister, the only person who ever truly loved him. The person who had never stopped loving him all these years, who had never given up on him. He had lived through hell for so many years, and she was the one who had finally set him free. "I love you, Ayla," She smiled at him. I love you too, brother.